If you've been following F1 news, you may have seen some people discussing that Spa might not be on the calendar next year. What? But it's Spa. It's a legendary circuit. It's one of the big four that's basically always been there. Monaco, Monza, Silverstone, Spa, or as I like to call them, sir. So, three things. A, yes, it will be a massive shame if this happens. It's an amazing, historic circuit that presents a pretty unique challenge to drivers by being both the longest and one of the fastest tracks on the calendar, which means that drivers are navigating some pretty sketchy corners with some very skinny wings. However, B, this wouldn't be the first time it's dropped off the calendar actually. More on the history of that in a second. But C, unlike previous times, it is now under threat from a completely different reason, and actually the reason this time may well look to keep it off the calendar for good. So first off, this is not the first time that Spa has dropped off the calendar. The last time this happened was 2006, as the track was being renovated for safety improvements, as well as changing the entire profile of the final chicane. It was planned to go ahead in 2006, but they just sort of ran out of time, and so the track wasn't ready and they couldn't do it. Before that, the race was also cancelled in 2003 over arguments about tobacco sponsorships. This was in an era when pressure was mounting publicly for the sport to ban its very famous tobacco sponsorships. However, that didn't actually come into place for the entire sport until 2007. In 2003, the Belgian government went ahead and just banned all tobacco advertisement for all events in the country, including the Belgian Grand Prix. Basically, the government went, you're going to remove all these sponsorships and give up all the millions and millions of dollars these companies give you. And F1 and all the teams went. The threat of Spa being dropped now, though, is a little different than it has been in the past. The event organisers and the governing body of Formula 1 itself are in discussions over the track's contract, which basically means Formula 1 is asking for an absolute ton of money and the track doesn't have enough money. For those of you who aren't aware how Formula 1 works, Formula 1 does not pay the tracks for using their venue. Instead, the tracks have to pay Formula 1 for the honour of being on the calendar. The price varies completely from track to track, and actually each one is renegotiated quite frequently because most contracts are only about 3 or 5 years long. Sadly for Spa, this time around, Formula 1 has got a lot more power to ask for whatever it wants. The sport is having a surge in popularity, and that means a ton of new venues are wanting to jump onto the calendar and are paying top dollar to do so. This is then combined with the fact that F1's Concord Agreement, the terms signed between the governing body and all the teams, limits the number of races that can be held in a year to 24, and this year already has 22. With Vegas already added on for next year, and rumours that China and South Africa are looking to join for next year and potentially have quite a lot of money to throw around to make that happen, something from the current calendar has to give. Now, if I was a betting man, I would probably say this would actually be Paul Ricard, which also doesn't have a contract for 2023 yet. But the fact remains, Spa is at risk. That's basically it. New venues with enormous wallets are wanting to come in, and something from the current calendar would have to give to make way for that. And that's most likely going to be one of the older, but surprisingly significantly poorer European venues. Money talks. And sadly, Spa doesn't have enough money. I have been Mr. P. Let me know down below what race you would drop from this season if you had the choice of any of them. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And until then, stay safe, and I will see you guys later.